This is easily the best moment of Goblin Slayer for me, and it's not even close. And it's really interesting that it comes because of a character who started off pretty insufferable. But I think when you combine with what happened last week on the bridge with Goblin Slayer and his pals after a night of drinking, talking about failed accomplishments, dreams that never came to be, to have a character who easily could be a miniature Goblin Slayer, someone who grows up to just simply cut down goblins with, honestly, if you look at the start of Season 1, he was a very isolated person. It wasn't until the priestess and the others kind of let him open up that he became a lot more human and felt probably more like a person than just a simple killing machine that takes care of these green monstrosities. And to see our little wizard boy, I'm not saying he's my favorite character by any means, but I will say his arc that he had over such a short amount of episodes, and seeing my boy laugh and just be happy that instead of trying to be like him, I'm not going to be a Goblin Slayer, I'm going to be a Dragon Slayer. Look at what happened in last week's episode. It was all about wanting to be a hero, go save the princess, cut down a dragon, be someone extraordinary, and god damn it, even if he doesn't accomplish it, he's at the very least going for that dream that Goblin Slayer was forced to abandon, and the trauma of losing his sister isn't going to hold him down. That is beautiful character writing, and no one can say otherwise. Now, I do have a full live reaction to today's wonderful Goblin Slayer episode over on my Patreon. If you would like to see that, it's over there if you're interested. Now, like I've been pretty much saying this whole time, there's moments in the first couple of episodes with him and just how he's so angry, and I mean, it's understandable, but at the same time, this is the type of character that if they get slapped upside the head, I'm not going to be upset. But you really have to hand it to Wizard Boy in this episode. I mean, the teachings of the dwarf and the fact that, his little screaming attack that he did, it goes from him rushing through a door and potentially getting people killed to him actually thinking. He didn't randomly cast a fireball right at the start, which is what he did at the first mission that he went with Goblin Slayer. Instead, he examined his surroundings. He couldn't just do nothing, but he also couldn't just wildly fire a fireball because it would have hit people. It would have either hurt his own people or it would have only got one and he'd be out of spell or something. He thought things through, and even if it's subtle character development, it's character development nonetheless. And I think this is where Goblin Slayer shines, is it doesn't necessarily try to have these massive character moments where every character goes through this 3-episode character arc that's just damn, I really need to take a seat and really process this. No, it's pretty easy to digest, but the simplicity of it is honestly the biggest strength. You can look at little moments in the background. If you recently watched season 1 like I did, the character who ends up going into the sewer to recollect their sword because they had to run away, we see them in this episode and their sword's no longer getting stuck into monsters. They're cutting things through and they feel like they have grown. It's nice looking at characters in the first season that were nothing but rookies, and honestly I thought were going to get their heads cut off really quickly, now slowly becoming a lot more mature and feeling like they're a lot more competent. And I think that's the brilliant thing, is just looking in the background and looking at those season 1 details and seeing where those characters have gone now, not because a character is taking a step back and saying, hey viewer, look at what they are doing now compared to episode 4 of season 1. No, if you know of the content, you notice these details, and if you don't, at the very least, you see that it's not just Goblin Slayer cutting down these goblins, it's planning and preparation. I think one of the most important pieces of character development we have is actually with the priestess. The first episode of season 1 shows her shaking, literally wetting herself because she is so scared of dying by goblins. In this episode, she leads the charge herself to get these rookies to safety, and goddamn did she deserve that reward of getting her promotion, because this is the type of character in a lot of shows that kind of okay, either we get the damsel in distress who Goblin Slayer is always doing everything for, or her character development kind of feels like it comes from left field. But if you really pay attention over season 1 and now where she's at with season 2, yes, being with Goblin Slayer is obviously a lot easier, but at the same time, she's learned so much from Goblin Slayer that now she's able to do the same things that he did for her and protect so many people from these horrible creatures that do nothing but just continue to make us say, exterminate all goblins. Goddamn, they're climbing trees this episode, they're looking like monkeys up there ready to throw their shit at us while also simultaneously cutting us apart. At one point, a dude took his helmet off and he got knocked with this giant boulder. It's hilarious, but also the worst luck I've ever seen, I think, in this show. Just The fact that as soon as he takes his helmet off, he gets just his head crushed in. But these goblins are bastards, man. They're clever, they're crafty, and I think it's pretty intelligent how basically they were targeting the weaker people, right? Like all the top dogs kind of in one location, but all these tunnels they made allows for them to really funnel and try to take down the weaker ones because they're not the strongest creatures out there, but they are crafty and they know what they can eat and what they can hurt and everything like that. And they had some plans, for sure, but we also had some plans, and it was really, really nice to see what they're able to accomplish. Like, it's kind of funny, last week, seeing some people act like last week's episode of Goblin Slayer was weird, as if Season 1 didn't have slower episodes that were about characterization and getting us to understand characters' personalities. Because they absolutely were there. I just watched Season 1 prior to the first episode of the season dropping. But if you look at this episode in particular, without last week's episode, I don't think there would be that much of an emotional hook of Wizard Boy going off and feeling like, you know what? I don't know if he'll become some great hero someday, but I will say this, compared to where he started out, and almost being absolutely tossed on his ass out of that inn because of how he treated adventurers and just his arrogant personality, to the smile and saying, I'm not going to be like you, I'm going to be a dragon slayer. Without last week's conversation on the bridge saying about our failed dreams and accomplishments, without seeing the slower moments with Goblin Slayer knowing that he's more than just someone who angrily kills goblins because he thinks they're a threat and for this or that, no, like there's so much pain behind that mask. And the fact that him belting out a hearty laugh, we don't need to see him smiling. We knew he was smiling, and this might be legitimately the happiest we've seen him in this entire show in terms of present day stuff. Nothing from the past when maybe he was, like, even then, like, all the flashbacks we've seen, it was him either angry or running off or this or that. But there was probably a lot of happy moments in his childhood, but man, this feels like the more we grow with Goblin Slayer, going from him in the second episode crying about how he was responsible, even if it was poison that killed the sister, he was the one who put the sister out of her misery, to going to him parting ways with this kid, not on bad terms, but honestly pretty respectful terms. You don't expect to see that. You really don't. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but I am so glad that Wizard Boy was a part of this season and that he did what he did this core. And I'm interested to see where they're going to take it now with the next 2/3 of this season. But I will say, the more I watch a Goblin Slayer, the more I like the characterization, the action remains fun, but the thing that has, from literally the first episode, Goblin Slayer being more than a meathead, being tactical, but having that trauma be his defining force of why he does things, seeing how he's evolved, seeing how the priestess has evolved, seeing how characters who get brought in this season evolve over a handful of episodes, there is subtle but noticeable character development, and that's what makes Goblin Slayer amazing. Now that's all from me. Let me know what you thought, because definitely, you know, there's been some heated opinions towards this boy, and I think this is an episode that really lets him set off and do his own thing in a positive direction, but that's just me. So thoughts and feelings yourself down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more videos to the channel, and like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction over on my Patreon if you're interested. And hey, while you're there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Teknite, Monsi7, PFTD, Buanake Monocle Azuria, and Kyle Kowalchuk. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.